Well, hello, it's Fred Weems again. Here is part 2 of the short story, The Picture Hunter Took. Thank God for Rhoda, said Joy Weems, who had fallen behind to light a Philip Morris on the stroll toward the museum. Of the group, Hunter and Joy were the smokers, and Hunter stood finishing his Chesterfield as Joy waved her match. The flame out, she dropped the match on the sidewalk and stepped on it with the toe of a high-heeled shoe. She puffed a little as Hunter, cigarette in mouth, took a Nikon out of a case. Group portrait with Rhoda. Bah, I'm going to repeat that. She puffed a little as Hunter, cigarette in mouth, took a Nikon out of a case. Group portrait with Rhoda, said Hunter. Do you know, said Joy, that she climbed that big hill to Chapultepec Castle without any sign of difficulty and waited an hour and a half with us, and when they told us it was closed, didn't show any sign of disappointment? And that's why we say, said Hunter, thank God for Rhoda. Hunter adjusted the lens, thinking of the shot he'd take, estimating the distance he'd take it from, and then put it in the case again. It'll be another 2 blocks. The kids were in the middle, and Lynn and Courtney were up front with Rhoda in between. She flies back tomorrow, said Joy. Tonight, Hunter said. How does she not look exhausted, said Joy. Rhoda was Hunter's mother-in-law. She was a little over 70. What's really interesting, Hunter said, is she has a calming effect on the kids. If we'd taken them to the bullfight, or to the soccer game, or to Sanborn's, it would be all we could do to keep track of them. But they want to do what she says. Oh, said Joy, Fred loves her for Sanborn's. It's American food, she imitated Fred. They have Coke. Has he noticed every place has Coke? I was startled, said Hunter, to see Rhoda almost at the top of the pyramid before any of the kids. I couldn't even climb it. He dropped his cigarette to the ground and stubbed it out. Those little steps. He was going to add that sacrificial virgins must have had small feet, but that was something to say back home in the States. I got about a quarter of the way up and simply walked back down, said Joy. Backwards. I didn't dare turn. Only the tips of my toes fit on the steps. Small feet those virgins had. Well, again, said Hunter. The kids were all hesitating until they saw her starting up. He thought of Rhoda's beaming face as she looked down from atop the pyramid. Lynn's voice called, This is it. The group stood at the corner. Let me catch up, shouted Hunter. I want to take a picture. The Picture Hunter Took. Outside the Museo Nacional de Antropología, Mexico City, 1971. Left to right. Frank, Dan, Courtney, Joy, Fred in front of her, Bill, Rhoda, Julie, Lynn. Bill, Rhoda, Lynn, Julie, and Bob. That's the picture. The taking of the picture was delayed a little. Lynn wanted to be very sure there would be tickets, so she went inside. In the meantime, Fred almost passed out again. Joy led Fred to a bench where he lay down. I'll take this opportunity to use the WC, said Courtney. When we get the picture, Hunter said to the kids, I want you to stand in front here. He looked at Dan and Bill. Your grandmother will stand in the middle. I want to do this quickly. We're all depleted. He took the camera out of its case and stood at the edge of the sidewalk. The distance was right. Lynn came back. I got the tickets. Joy was leading Fred toward the building. Can you make it? She was saying. She moved quickly to a garbage can outside the door, pushed the lid open, and held Fred as he retched into the receptacle. We'll stay out here, Joy said. It was going to rain. Line up, kids, Hunter said. He could at least get them and Rhoda. Lynn was talking to Joy. Dan, Frank, Julie, Bill, and Bob stood in front of the museum, a pre-Columbian figure behind them. They would know they'd been to the National Museum of Anthropology, Museo Nacional de Antropología. They would think of it by its Spanish name. Bill, said Hunter, loudly, but not too loudly, your grandmother will want to be in this. Granny, called Bill. Come on over. Hunter heard Rhoda say to Lynn and Joy, Picture time. She started walking toward the center of the group. Lynn and Joy were looking at each other. Joy was trying to get Fred to stand up because he'd started to lie down on the ground. Joy wiped Fred's face with a napkin. Lynn walked toward the group. Courtney, Joy shouted as Courtney emerged from the museum. Join in the picture. Indeed, said Courtney. Can you do it? Joy was saying to Fred. Just as the drops were beginning to fall, Hunter looking down into the viewfinder, said, Once only, on the count of 3. He looked again at the group, then once again down into the viewfinder. Kids and adults looked tired but ready. Rhoda looked vibrant, as if she were just starting the trip instead of going home. She had turned to the side a little and had the same smile she had at Teotihuacan. It ran through Hunter's head. Conquistador, your stallion stands. Hunter clicked the shutter release. Joy, who'd been propping Fred up, immediately led him back to the garbage can. Whiteness spewed from his mouth. "It's Sanborn's milkshake," said Fred in a thin voice. "Do the tour," said Joy. "We'll stay out here." "Thanks for getting that in one shot, Hunter," said Courtney as they went in. "Absolutely," said Hunter. Lynn handed everybody their tickets after giving Joy 2. "We'll be out here," said Joy. Fred was outstretched on the bench. "It's too bad we didn't get one with you in it," Rhoda said to Hunter after everyone else had gone in. "It might be better this way," said Hunter. He remembered something Courtney had said one year when everybody was taking everybody else's picture. Damn all cameras. That's the end of this part.